Bitcoin broke something today, and it's not what you think. It's very, very bullish. So you guys know Bitcoin is seen as a safe haven right now, at least for some, not for everyone, but there are some. And whenever you turn on CNBC, like half the time they're talking about Bitcoin, and half the time they're interviewing people about why Bitcoin is stronger, why it's a safe haven, right? And you still have people interviewing like Jack Muller of Strike because they just have no clue, right? But Bitcoin is in mainstream media right now, okay? And it should be, because it's pretty obvious. Bitcoin started really accelerating. We were still stuck around 24,000, right? Remember, that was only like 2 weeks ago. Then all the banking stuff happened and Bitcoin got a shot of momentum, and now we're rallying up big time, right? So there's definitely a correlation, and the correlation is this: Bitcoin is being seen as a safe haven now by many that never saw it as a safe haven, and people are putting their money back in. I mean, it's really that simple. But there's a lot of stuff that supports this. Number one, Bitcoin's performance for this year, it's off the charts right now. I mean, it gets cut off from my camera. That's how good it is compared to everything else out there. And hey, look, Ethereum is up there too, right? So Ethereum and Bitcoin are leading the way, and everyone else is kind of behind or really, really in the negative. So far, year-to-date performance have been absolutely outstanding for Bitcoin. Also, this correlation, man, this is cut off too, but there is a correlation right now with Bitcoin versus gold versus Bitcoin versus NASDAQ, Bitcoin versus S&P, which if this wasn't cut off, it would show that Bitcoin is going upwards and everything else is going downwards. That's basically what it's showing, right? So a lot of goodness right now, a lot of people turning to Bitcoin. And that is why the Fear and Greed Index is now the highest it's been in a very, very long time, 68. Yesterday, we were 66 greed. Last month, we were barely in the greed. Now we're getting to the point where we're starting to get into extreme greed almost. Let's look. This is the highest it's been in 1 year, and the highest it's been since November of 2021. November 2021 is when Bitcoin hit 69,000. That's how greedy people are right now. That's how, I should say, hopeful and excited people are now. I mean, think about it. We haven't seen this level going all the way back since November of 2021. That's awesome. That's awesome. And there's a lot more awesome things. For example, this. I missed this, but this is actually very, very important and also very bullish. This red line right here is the 200 weekly moving average. This is traditionally seen as the ultimate kind of resistance / support for Bitcoin. Because it's a weekly moving average, it takes a long, long time for Bitcoin to either break below or break above, right? It's seen as like the ultimate level that so many chartists look at. And you could see in 2018, 2019, this is on the very left side, Bitcoin bounced at it a couple of times. It broke through briefly, very briefly, and then we recovered. But even in 2020, March of 2020, when we had a COVID scare, right? If we didn't have it, Bitcoin would probably be going sideways. But because we did have a COVID scare, Dow sold off like 3,000 a day. Everything like sold off like crazy. We had a massive dump where Bitcoin fell to 3,800, and it stayed there for a couple of weeks before coming back up, right? This time around, very different. We went through the very first recession. Bitcoin has never, ever, ever been through a recession. And plus, we had a whole bunch of failures. FTX failure, Luna failure, Celsius failure, Voyager failure. We had contagion like we have never ever seen before. So despite all of that, right, Bitcoin is now above that 200 weekly moving average once again. We did dip below. We stayed there for a very long time. And the naysayers were all coming out of the woods saying that, oh, okay, look, Bitcoin is below. We're about to fall to zero. Everything is over. But no, that's how strong Bitcoin is. And we recently tested it a couple times. We couldn't break it. And this time we broke through. That is very, very, very bullish. So if we're following what has happened before, some of these previous bottoms, that means we're about to rally and rally hard. Okay, so that's why this is so important and so bullish. So I wanted to show that. And also there's a lot of other very bullish things. I mean, there's a lot of crossovers, a lot of macro view of Bitcoin. And right now is perfect time to be loading up, DCAing, and stocking up because we have just hit a buy signal, at least according to this indicator. But I did show you guys last night. Had you been DCAing every single day the same amount since the 69,000 top, you would already be in the green. So think about that. Say you started with $100 or $10 or $1 from 69,000, the peak, and you bought the same amount and DCA'd every single day. As of like a week ago, you would be in the green already. That's how amazing DCA is, right? So you don't even have to guess. You don't even have to time the market. DCA is the way. But if you are trying to time the market, these kind of things, these kind of charts are absolutely crucial. And they're all flashing green buy right now. Here's another one showing the RSI of Bitcoin and comparing it to previous low points and previous times when you should be buying. And right now is flashing one of those once again. It's very obvious. When you zoom out, it's pretty obvious. When you're living in the moment, it's not that obvious, and it can be boring, and it can be scary because you have a lot of volatility. But when you zoom out and you have hindsight, well, then you're like, man, why didn't I buy more? Why didn't I go all in? Why didn't I just, buy a little bit more during those times? I could feel it. I know it's low, but my head is telling me I shouldn't because there's still a lot of fear out there. But when you zoom out, it's so obvious. And once we enter 2024, 2025, and all the cycles afterwards, and I show you guys more charts like this, showing how this is the point when Bitcoin started recovering, going up to 150 or 200,000, you go think the same way. And I'm going to sit here and say, I told you so. No, I won't. No, I won't be doing that. But, you get my point. You get my point. There are a lot of good things happening. And you know what? There's more. If you're not convinced by charts, right? Are you convinced by fundamentals? Well, look at this. Address is holding at least 0.01 Bitcoin. I mean, just look at this chart. All-time high. You have 11,676,000, okay? And it just keeps going up. Just keeps going up. So the fundamentals of Bitcoin has never been stronger. Even versus 69,000. We didn't have this many addresses, even when Bitcoin has 69,000. And we have more now than ever in Bitcoin's history. Okay, and here's the number of hodled coins. Out of the circulation, the 19.5 that is circulating right now, right? The amount that haven't moved in 5 years is 7.6, 7.7 million. It's not all-time high, but it's a 5-year high. And eventually this will turn all-time high. But again, these kind of on-chain metrics, part of the fundamentals of Bitcoin that continue to improve despite the fact that we're nowhere close to all-time high yet. All fantastic things.